She thought she had you. She thought you'd chase her no matter what, through silence, rejection, and mixed signals. She thought no matter how far she pulled away, you'd always be there, waiting, hoping, trying. Because that's what you used to do. You made her the center of your world, gave her your attention freely, and turned your love into her power. And that's exactly when she started to lose respect for you. See, most men don't realize that constant pursuit doesn't build attraction, it kills it. The more you chase, the more predictable you become. The more you show you need her, the less she feels she needs you. That's why she started acting cold, distant, detached. She wasn't confused. She was testing. She wanted to see how far she could push before you'd break. But then, something changed. You stopped. You went silent. And that silence hit her harder than any words ever could. Because women expect noise. They expect emotion. They expect men to fight for attention, to prove themselves, to plead for another chance. But what they don't expect is stillness. They don't expect you to disappear, calmly, quietly, completely. And when you do, something inside them shifts. The power dynamic flips. The woman who once felt in control starts to feel uncertain. She begins to question everything she thought she knew about you. At first, she tells herself you're just playing games. She convinces herself you'll text any moment. But days pass, weeks pass, and that silence, that confident, peaceful silence, starts to get louder. It makes her wonder if she pushed too far. It makes her question whether she misjudged you. And slowly, she starts to realize that the man who once needed her is now perfectly fine without her. That realization burns. Because deep down, every woman craves the kind of man who can walk away without collapsing. She may test you, she may pull back. But what truly captures her heart is strength. Not in muscles or money, but in emotion. The man who can stay silent when she expects reaction becomes the man she can't stop thinking about. Your silence exposes her illusion of control. It makes her confront her own emotions, the ones she buried beneath ego and pride. Now she's not wondering if you'll come back. She's wondering if she ever meant enough for you to care. That's when the chase reverses. That's when she starts to feel the panic you once felt, because now you've become the mystery. And nothing is more attractive to a woman than a man who doesn't need her attention to feel powerful. She thought you'd chase forever. Until your silence became the mirror she couldn't ignore. Before we start, a quick reminder. My complete Stoic Couple course is now live at thestoiccouple.Podia.com. If you've been learning from these videos, that's just the surface. Inside the course, we go deeper. Mastering attraction, understanding female psychology, and rebuilding your mindset from the inside out. Join once, and you're in for life, with lifetime access to all future courses, books, and new lessons. Plus, you'll be part of our private Stoic community, a brotherhood where men like you grow together in discipline, power, and self-control. It's available in English and Spanish, and you can enroll instantly at thestoiccouple.Podia.com or click the link below. Enroll once, grow forever. Let's begin. Section number 1, How She Lost Power, the Moment You Went Silent. Power in relationships is never taken, it's given. And she had it only because you handed it to her through your chase. Every time you texted first, every time you over-explained, every time you tried to prove your worth, you confirmed that she was the prize and you were the pursuer. That's how she gained control. Not because she earned it, but because you surrendered it in the name of love. But when you finally went silent, everything changed. In one instant, her entire perception of you began to crumble. At first, she tried to interpret your silence as manipulation. He's just trying to make me miss him. But when that silence lasted longer than she expected, it stopped feeling like a tactic and started feeling like power. She began to realize something she never considered before. Maybe you were never dependent on her. Maybe the man she thought she could control had simply chosen peace over her validation. That thought terrifies her, because in her mind, your silence isn't just distance, it's rejection wrapped in mystery. And nothing shakes a woman's ego more than realizing she no longer has emotional access to a man who once adored her. She starts replaying every moment in her head, every message you sent, every compliment you gave, every time she ignored your effort, trying to figure out when the shift happened. But she'll never find it. Because silence has no timestamp. It just arrives and changes everything. That's the moment she loses power. Not when you argue, not when you plead, but when you no longer react. You see, attention is the currency of attraction. The moment you stop spending it freely, its value multiplies. Your silence tells her what words never could. You no longer see her as the source of your peace. And now, she's the one doing what you used to do. Overthinking, waiting, hoping, watching. She checks your profile more than she wants to admit. She looks for signs that you care. She pays attention to details she once ignored. Your tone, your absence, your indifference. Because now, you're the uncertainty. And here's the truth she can't accept. She lost power not because you punished her, but because you grew. You stopped playing her emotional game. You stopped responding to her ego. You stopped proving yourself and started embodying yourself. And that quiet shift, that invisible, untouchable self-control, is what flips the script. Because when a man no longer chases, the woman who took him for granted starts chasing clarity. And clarity always leads back to curiosity. Section number 2. What she feels when you stay silent. The psychology of ego collapse. At first, your silence feels like victory to her. She tells herself she's in control, that you're only quiet because you're hurt, that any day now you'll reach out, explain yourself, try again. Because she's used to men folding under pressure. She's used to being the one who decides when communication starts and when it ends. So for a while, she feels powerful. But then, the days pass. The notifications don't come. The silence stretches. And what once felt like confidence starts to feel like confusion. That's when the ego begins to crack. Her mind starts to fight her heart. Her logic says you're gone, but her emotions can't let go. She replays every message, every moment, every look you gave her, searching for signs that your silence isn't final. She wonders if you're seeing someone else, if you've moved on, if your peace is real or just performance. And the more she thinks, the deeper she sinks, because the silence that once made her feel superior now makes her feel invisible. You see, when a woman's ego collapses, it doesn't happen with tears. It happens in thoughts. Her mind becomes a battlefield of what-ifs and maybes. She starts checking your stories, hoping you'll post something that betrays emotion, but you don't. She looks for anger, bitterness, reaction, but you give her nothing. And that nothing becomes the most haunting energy she's ever felt. Because silence isn't empty. It's full of power. Every unanswered text, every unreturned glance becomes a message in itself. I no longer need you to feel complete. And that realization hits her harder than anything you could have said. That's when her emotions turn inward. She begins to question herself. Was I too cold? Did I push him too far? Did I underestimate him? That's the ego's breaking point, when it stops blaming you and starts analyzing itself. And once that happens, she starts to feel something she hasn't felt in a long time: respect. Because deep down, women don't crave control over men. They crave respect for them. They want to feel the strength of a man who isn't moved by mood swings, by distance, by pride. And your silence, held without anger, becomes that proof. Her attraction starts to rebuild from the ashes of her ego. She doesn't know why she's drawn back to you, only that she is. Because your absence created contrast. It reminded her that your energy was rare. Now, she's not chasing you because she's bored. She's chasing you because your silence showed her something words never could. That peace is more powerful than persuasion. And now, she wants that peace back. Section number 3. Why silence triggers female desire. The emotional reversal. Silence is not absence. It's presence without permission. And when a woman feels your energy without your effort, it confuses her system. It bypasses logic and goes straight to emotion. That's why silence triggers something primal, because it removes her sense of control. When you were chasing, everything was predictable. She could read you, anticipate you, and control the rhythm of the connection. But when you went quiet, truly quiet, not faking it, that rhythm disappeared. Suddenly, she became the one waiting. And that emotional uncertainty is what reignites her desire. You see, women are drawn to polarity, to the contrast between emotion and stillness. They live in feeling, while masculine energy lives in restraint. When you stop reacting, when you stop proving, you're no longer participating in her emotional dance. You've stepped outside of it. And that distance, that space, creates gravity. She starts feeling your silence the same way you once felt hers. Heavy, loud, impossible to ignore. Every day she doesn't hear from you, she imagines you doing better without her. Every hour you remain composed, she wonders what you're thinking. And that curiosity becomes obsession. But the secret is this: silence only works when it's peaceful. If your silence is full of anger or resentment, she feels it. It smells like bitterness, not confidence. But when your silence comes from self-respect, from clarity, it becomes magnetic. It carries an invisible message. I don't need you to choose me. I've already chosen my peace. That's the energy she can't resist. Because what most men don't understand is that women don't chase attention. They chase emotional stability. They crave the feeling of being around a man who can't be shaken, who doesn't break under emotional pressure. And when you show her that kind of power, quietly, consistently, you awaken something inside her that no loud man ever could. Now your silence becomes more than distance. It becomes definition. It defines your worth without negotiation. It teaches her that your time, your energy, your attention are privileges, not guarantees. And as she feels that difference, her mind begins to soften, but her emotions begin to burn. She starts wanting to hear from you, not to feed her ego, but to feel your energy again. That calmness, that groundedness, it becomes addictive. It contrasts with every other man's chaos. Your silence, once mistaken for rejection, now feels like mystery. And mystery, to a woman, is irresistible. Because what she can't predict, she can't control. And what she can't control, she can't stop wanting. Section number 4. The turning point, when she starts chasing you. It happens slowly, almost invisibly at first. She doesn't wake up one morning and decide to chase you. No, it begins with thoughts, small, subtle ones that creep into her mind when she least expects it. Why hasn't he texted? Is he talking to someone else? Did I push him too far? Those questions aren't logical. They're emotional cracks in the wall she built to feel powerful. Because your silence didn't just create distance, it created reflection. And reflection is uncomfortable when pride was the foundation. Now her imagination becomes your greatest ally. Every time she doesn't hear from you, she fills the silence with stories, all of which center around you. She replays memories, wonders if you ever cared, and tries to decode your calm. That emotional investment, those hours she spends thinking, questioning, remembering, is her new chase. You're no longer chasing her in reality. She's chasing you in her mind. The longer you remain silent, the deeper that pull becomes. Because women don't miss words. They miss energy. They miss how it felt to be seen, to be around a man who didn't crumble under their tests. And now, that strength she once took for granted becomes the thing she desires most. This is where polarity reverses completely. The same silence that once made you anxious now makes her restless. She'll start small. Maybe a message disguised as a joke, a comment on your post, a random question that doesn't need an answer. She'll pretend it's casual, but her energy gives her away. Because behind every small attempt is a bigger fear. What if he really doesn't care anymore? And that's when the power shift becomes permanent. You're no longer reacting to her emotions. She's reacting to your silence. You're no longer chasing validation. She's chasing reassurance. The dynamic that used to define your weakness now defines your strength. But here's the key. When she starts chasing, don't celebrate. Don't rush. Don't collapse back into old patterns. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay disciplined. Because if your silence made her respect you, your composure will make her desire you. You see, the man she's now drawn to isn't the one she ignored. It's the one who emerged from her absence stronger, colder, and more focused. The man who didn't fight to be chosen. He simply became unavoidable. That's the turning point. When the chase reverses. When the woman who once walked away now studies your silence like scripture. When she realizes she can replace your name, but not your energy. Because a man who walks away in peace leaves behind a feeling she'll spend years trying to recreate. Section number 5. How to respond. When she comes back, keeping control of the frame. When she finally comes back, and she will, you'll feel it before you see it. It might start with a message that sounds harmless. Hey, I just saw something that reminded me of you. Or, you disappeared, huh? It won't sound like an apology. It never does. But it's not about the words. It's about the intent. That message is her way of testing the water, checking if the silence that once haunted her still stands strong. This is where most men fail. They mistake her return for reconciliation. They drop their guard, rush to respond, and collapse the power they've built. But a stoic man doesn't chase even when the chase reverses. He observes first, not with bitterness, but with discipline. When she returns, she's not coming back for love. She's coming back for validation. She wants to know if your silence was real or if it was a strategy. She wants to see if she still has access to your emotions, and your reaction, or lack of it, will decide everything. If you respond too quickly, she feels safe again. The tension breaks. The mystery fades. The balance shifts back to her. But if you stay calm, neutral, composed, if your tone remains grounded and your energy detached, she feels that new version of you. The man who's no longer emotionally available on demand. That's when her attraction deepens. Not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't. When you do reply, keep it short, light, and unbothered. No emotional closure, no deep explanation. Speak like a man who has options, because you do. She should feel your peace through every word, that your world didn't pause when she left. It evolved. Remember, this isn't about playing games. It's about setting a standard. The stoic man never punishes, he simply demonstrates. His silence wasn't revenge, it was revelation. It showed her what life looks like when his energy is withdrawn. Now she's back. Not because you begged, but because she felt the difference. And that difference is what keeps the frame yours. Because once you learn to control your reaction, you control the direction. You don't chase love, you attract alignment. You don't ask for attention, you command it through peace. And when she realizes you're no longer the man she left, she'll start treating you like the man she can't replace. Section number 6. When she begs for your attention, the Stoic way to respond. When a woman finally reaches the point where she begs for your attention, it's not about the words she says. It's about what those words represent. It means the balance of power has completely shifted. The same woman who once controlled the pace, the energy, and the communication is now fighting the silence she once used as a weapon. But here's the truth most men miss. When she comes back begging, that's not the moment to celebrate. That's the moment to lead. Because what you do next determines whether she respects you forever or loses interest again. When her messages turn emotional, I miss you. You've changed. Why are you so cold? Your instinct will tell you to give in, to finally say what you've been holding back. But a Stoic man knows that giving her emotional relief too soon resets the dynamic. She must feel the weight of her own distance before she can value your presence again. So you don't ignore her. You guide her, calmly, simply, without attachment. You respond like a man who already has closure, who doesn't need her confession to find peace, because she's not testing your affection anymore, she's testing your discipline. The Stoic man's strength isn't in silence alone. It's in how he speaks after silence. His tone carries peace, not pain. His presence feels steady, not reactive. When he finally speaks, every word feels earned, not desperate. That's what makes her fall all over again. Not because you gave her what she wanted, but because you showed her what she needed. Emotional control. You don't punish her for leaving. You don't throw her past mistakes in her face. You simply show her that her absence didn't break you. It built you. That your silence wasn't punishment. It was evolution. And that realization humbles her. She starts to see you differently. Not as the man she once had power over, but as the man whose peace she disrupted and now craves to be part of again. You stay kind, but firm. You stay open, but centered. You let her see your new energy, not through explanation, but through vibration. Because when a man has truly found peace within himself, no woman can manipulate it, only be drawn to it. That's how you respond when she begs. Not with ego, not with arrogance, but with calm leadership. You remind her, without saying a word, that you were never hers to control. You were always the calm she didn't know she needed, until your silence made her remember. Section number 7. When your silence redefines you forever. There comes a moment when your silence is no longer a tactic. It becomes truth. It's not about trying to win her back anymore. It's not about proving anything. It's about peace, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself, the kind that simply exists. At first, your silence was a reaction. You used it to protect yourself, to create distance, to regain control. But now, it's different. Now, your silence isn't about her at all. It's about you. You've grown past the need to chase, past the need to be understood, past the illusion that love has to mean surrender. You've stopped asking, why did she pull away? And started asking, why did I lose myself trying to hold on? That's the final shift, when your power no longer depends on how she feels, but on how you function. She'll feel that, even from a distance, even in silence. She'll sense the change, because your energy doesn't carry the same tension anymore. It carries direction. You've become grounded, focused, unshakable. And when a man reaches that level, he stops orbiting others and becomes his own center of gravity. That's when everything flips. You no longer attract from emptiness, you attract from overflow. You no longer try to be chosen, you choose yourself. And that's what makes you unforgettable. Not the silence itself, but the evolution that came through it. Now, she looks at you differently. The man she once took for granted now feels unreachable. Not because you're distant, but because you've grown beyond her emotional reach. You've stepped into a space most men never find. The calm after the storm, the balance between care and control. And this time, you don't need validation, closure, or even revenge. Because you've realized something deeper, that the strongest man isn't the one who gets her back. It's the one who never loses himself again. Your silence redefined you. It stripped away everything fake, everything weak, everything reactive, and revealed who you were meant to be all along. Now, your energy speaks before your words ever do. Now, your peace intimidates what once drained you. Now, your stillness commands attention, not by force, but by frequency. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you rare. Because in a world full of noise, the man who can remain silent and still be felt becomes unforgettable. And when she looks back, she'll realize the truth. You didn't just walk away. You ascended. There's a moment every man reaches, when he finally understands that silence was never about getting her back. It was about getting himself back. And if you've made it this far in the video, that means you're not like most men. You don't want shortcuts. You want strength. You want clarity. You want peace that lasts longer than attention. Because deep down, you know the truth. Control doesn't come from dominance. It comes from discipline. Your silence was never weakness. It was your transformation. You learned that the moment you stop chasing validation, you start building value. You realize that calm isn't a sign of detachment. It's the highest form of confidence. And you discovered that the most powerful thing a man can say is nothing at all. Now, imagine what would happen if you could live that way every single day, not just in relationships, but in life. Imagine mastering the same emotional discipline that made her regret losing you and using it to lead, to attract, to build. That's exactly what we teach inside the Stoic Couple. It's not just a course, it's a complete blueprint for transformation. Inside, you'll learn how to control emotions, read attraction, rebuild your confidence, and embody the kind of masculine energy that commands respect without noise. You'll gain lifetime access, meaning one single enrollment connects you forever. Every future update, every new series, every upcoming book, every course expansion, all included for life. Because this movement isn't temporary. It's a lifelong brotherhood built around growth, balance, and mastery. When you join, you're not joining another dating course. You're joining a community of men who are walking the same path you are, calm, focused, and ready to lead themselves first. Inside, we talk, we learn, we grow together. It's private, it's powerful. It's the next level of everything you've learned here. So before you scroll to the next video, pause. Ask yourself, are you still chasing, or are you ready to evolve? Because the man who chooses silence once becomes stronger, but the man who lives in silence with purpose becomes unstoppable. Join us inside the Stoic Couple and start mastering the discipline that will change not only how women see you, but how you see yourself. You've already proven your strength by watching this far. Now take it one step further. Step into your evolution.